Hey everybody, good morning. It's Jillian. Yeah, going from antibiotic, probiotic, and yin and yang, and positive and negative, and Democrat, Republican, and light versus dark, all these dualities, to now actually bringing everything down to Satan and Lucifer. Because they are yin and yang, they are the dualities. And this is probably one of the hardest things in my world, which is why I get so much crazy press because I'm watching The Walking Dead and I hear some really biblical lines in The Walking Dead. I mean, it's very biblical. If you watch The Walking Dead, you're like, oh my God, yeah, a guy named Gabriel, Alexander, Alexandria, or all these biblical names. You're like, oh, I see what they're doing here. They're really taking us back to the ancient times where we're basically doing a reset. And they're just like, for us for humanity to survive, there's got to be death, right? And I'm just like, fuck. So then how do I explain J-Juice? And this is where it comes down to. It comes down to worth. It comes down to worth. Your self-worth. Okay, someone's going to pick. It's like, here's the thing. Back in the World War II days where they had the Nazi Gestapo pick who's going to go to this side or this side, the labor camp or the death camp, right? There was two roads or two trains that you had to go on. And that's pretty intense. That's in your face. That can't happen again. That will never happen again. Because somebody else is determining your worth. And that's the thing. So the people never had a choice or never had a chance, never had a choice. And so we have evolved as a society not to be that uncivilized, to be that predatory. And so now in this first world society, forget the third world. Third world, they don't know their worth yet. I mean, they do and they don't. They're trying to. We're trying to enlighten. The West is trying to enlighten, Africa and different parts of Asia and the third world countries, Mexico and whatever, and everyone's dying to get to America. They're trying to jump the wall and everything. They want the innovation. And people that here in America and in the West don't even appreciate the innovation. They don't have gratitude for the innovation. They're like, well, we don't want to let them in, but we don't want to do anything to really help our society. And so at some point, for humanity to move forward, people, place, and things have to pass away. Man, I got off on a major tangent. All right, I don't know. I'm just right now, I mean, I've gone through another variant in the environment again, so I'm just like, geez, I've been blowing my nose like so much this morning. But yeah, I mean, Satan, Lucifer. So you have The Walking Dead, where they're talking about biblical characters, and they're saying for humanity to survive, there must be a certain amount of death. Because when you have so many people who don't want to aspire to anything or be anything, who are just taking up resources, who are constantly, dealing with issues, who are needing so much infrastructure, they're taking up resources. And so at some point, we're going to streamline the infrastructure where we're not going to need the lower level slaves like in our society. We're not going to need those that don't want to pull themselves by their own bootstraps, that don't know their own worth. That's the thing, is that do you know your worth? And what do you have to offer society to where you don't have to have someone tell you, oh, well, you should go to high school and maybe college. And if you don't want to go to college and make something of yourself to where you are able to take part in whatever is going on, whether it's the green machine or it's the coal oil machine, it doesn't matter. I mean, the green machine is going to have cleaner burning fuel. You're going to have more streamlined food, more bio fortification. You're going to have less of the need for someone who really needs to only aspire to a certain level, which means that they have an infrastructure that has to support them. You realize, like, out there, let's say we're in the feudal lands. We're in the, back in the medieval days where there's a castle. And let's say the castle built a machine that's able to, all you gotta do is put something in there and it turns into an amazing food. You wouldn't need the farmers. You wouldn't need you had a 3D machine. You wouldn't need the blacksmiths. You wouldn't need the cooks and the whatever. You had this magic machine, okay, that needed, and this magic machine didn't produce everything, but it had enough for the basics. Now, the things that are extras, like let's say cable or Xbox or nice cars, those would need an infrastructure, because we have 500 million that wants cable, Xbox, nice cars, and maybe little spaceships that go zoom, zoom, zoom. And so you would then create an economy and create an infrastructure to support that would be clean and all that stuff. And so you wouldn't have lower level people. And why do I call them lower level? Because that's essentially what I'm speaking from the point of view of the New World Order, the Luciferian New World Order, which I can now I understand, living together with both the positive and negative, right? The binary code, the 0 for on and 1 for, or 0 for off and 1 for on. Lucifer and Satan, they both reside together side by side. So I get it. But we need to have more of the on, more of the light than we do have the dark. Right now, we are in a society where everybody is dying. Not everybody, but a lot of people are dying. They're heading into the darkness. They're heading into the Satan's kingdom, whatever, if you want to go biblical. And some people are not evolving. They're very dark. They're very mean. Very, very, just, you could see you could feel the negative energy, and you're just like, dude, we need more of the light people. And so yeah, Satan can be a deceiver. When you don't really understand your worth, then you can be easily deceived into whatever you think is light and life and saving your life. Because when people are saying it's okay to die, and that all these antibiotics and all these therapeutics are going to save your life, that's Satan's deception. But that's what you've told yourself, that your only worth is a certain amount of time on this earth, and then you're only, worth whatever they can kind of exploit out of you during your short life existence, and then you're only good for a temporary time, and that's it. And so with the jelly juice, which can't be satanic because it's light, it's Lucifer, it's light, it is life. Then you get all this knowledge, okay? Then you realize, and you really see the dualities that are not as above or so below, but they're side by side, and they reside together on the same plane, but they're still diametrically opposed. But it's a balance between the two. They're not like this, they're like this. This is Satan and this is Lucifer. And you are somewhere in the middle, because you're still dealing with binary code, zeros and ones in your body, just like the Matrix. But as someone who can deceive you into thinking that life is death and death is life, that they're the same thing, that's more on the Satan side, because that's the deceiver, the prince of darkness, to make you think. And that's what the whole thing with Paradise Lost. I mean, I'm reading some of the quotes of what Lucifer, and there's some great quotes in there. You're just like, wow, how can this be like such a bad thing? Paradise Lost and Lucifer. But then, he's saying that Satan said this, and Lucifer said, and he's trying to put Satan and Lucifer in the same world. And people are looking at Satan and Lucifer as the same thing, when no, I mean, they're diametrically opposed, but it's a balance between the two. It's a balance between the two. My hair is crazy. And so that's the deception of society, is the fact that you think that that death is life, and death is death and life is life. And then there is a transition towards death, and then there's a transition into life, and it's painful. And so I could see why they say this is like Paradise Lost, because there's so much death in our society. And people call it life, right? Oh my God, my hair is so awful. Whatever. So So that's the thing, even with the J juice, is how do, people are like, well, this guy passed away and he was on J juice. It wasn't like he died from J juice. He just had more zeros than ones in his body. When you have more zeros than one in your body and you're not actively regenerating and adding more ones to your body, if you want to break it down to binary code in the matrix, you're going to pass away. Chili juice is not just automatically give you a bunch of ones just like that. It's not a magic just like that. It takes time. You have to earn all the ones in your body with the lesser amount of zeros. That's what people don't understand. That's why people are under the deception of the holistic allopathic world that, oh yes, this pill, powder, supplement, detox, remedy, herb and extract and shake is going to give me all the ones in the world. And no, I'm sorry, it's going to actually contribute to most of the zeros in your world. And then when you get diagnosed with the disease, and you're like, now I'm going to do a Hail Mary and do the Jilly juice, and you're thinking it's going to happen just like that. And then you're like, oh, you can't deal with the pain, and you go back to your zero remedies, the antibiotic remedies, and then you pass away. Well, but what are they on J juice? Well, they couldn't handle the pain, so they went back to their old ways. They couldn't eat the food because the food that gave them so many cramps. They couldn't handle the waterfalls. They couldn't handle the pain. They had things come to surface, and so they said, "Fuck it, I'm done." And then they passed away. And then it was like, "Oh God, they were on J juice. They must have thought of J juice." No. They had too many zeros in their world, and that's what happens when you play that cure game. And then when you wait for a major diagnosis to where then you want to do a Hail Mary, it's too late by that time. You have trained your body not to deal with pain. And that's the deception of Satan. That's the deception. That is Satan's kingdom, is the antibiotic, holistic, allopathic world. And I hate to put it down like that, but it's like, that's what it comes down to. I mean, I can call it antibiotic, probiotic. I can call it, night versus day. I can call it positive versus negative. I can call it, I don't know, Democrat versus Republican. I mean, whatever, but there's got to be a balance of both. You can't have too much one over the other, but you still have to have a certain amount of, you still have still more life than death, but then too much life could be cancerous. So there's still got to be a balance. There's still got to be that thermodynamic give and take. Because you see when somebody on a body that it's on a deficit and there's so much life growing like cancer, it kills them, right? And so then you're like, well, how does evolution and growth kill them? Because they haven't sealed on the back end to be able to retain the energy and release the excess in a balanced way. And so that's what the J juice is training your body, is to retain and heal and seal, and then also release the excess, and then deal with your predispositions. And then, when there's new viruses in the environment, you're going to feel it. You're going to be blowing your nose. You're going to feel really tired. Like I was mentally tired on like Saturday or Sunday, but it was another variant in the environment. My husband's out there in the world bringing everything home, which is great. I go out there in the world too. I go shopping. I'm exposed, fine, and I deal with it. And so, you're seeing in the news, there's an upsurge of more of the variants out there. And my dog feels it, though not as aggressive as she was. But she still does feel it. And so I am very aggressive in getting out the mucus, the excess antibodies, whether it's agonist or antagonist. Okay? But if I want to bring everything down to something that is like the yin and the yang, the Asians have the yin and the yang, but then you have, the people in the Bible, the West has the Lucifer and Satan has been posed as the same thing as Lucifer. No. I mean, Satan is wise. They're both pretty wise, but one is going to be like a siren that's going to lead the sailors into the depths of the sea and drown them. Okay, and one's going to bring them to the light, to the knowledge, to life, and you have to choose which one, what journey you're going to be on. Okay, and that's the thing, is that the journey to light and life isn't easy. The journey to death is so easy. It's all pleasure. It's all distraction. It's all medicine and antibiotics and taking out organs and being completely just like a Scarecrow and Mrs. King, or a Scarecrow and Tin Man, where you're just oiled and patched and prodded and then nipped and tucked and all that. And so that's So that's one of the things that I have to figure out, which this can be more towards the back of my book, where what does the future hold? You know, and I'm going to have to find a way to weave that in as far as Satan and Lucifer, because that's really important to understand, because that will also wrap up the thing about jelly juice and why it gets so much controversy. Because there's deceivers out there that want to say jelly juice is killing people when it's really not. It's actually the antibiotics. When you look at the science behind jelly juice and the science behind the holistic allopathic, it's as plain as day. It's about balance, but mostly everything that's out there in the holistic allopathic world, it's antibiotic, anti-life. How can you take in so much antibiotics on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis in reaction to your evolution, which is pain, and think you're going to survive? But then they call it life. That's Satan's deception, is calling antibiotics life-saving. It's only giving you a stay of execution to slow down the thermodynamics, but you're still going to die anyways. Oh, but you believe you should die, then it's only natural. This is your life. You determined your worth based upon somebody else's determination of your worth. You have no determination of your own worth. You allowed somebody else to determine your worth. And so that's why Bill Gates and World Economic Forum and all the different Luciferian NWO, why they do what they do, because they used to determine your worth. They made mistakes in the past in World War II and all those different places. Now they're like, okay, we've made our mistakes. I mean, if you watch The Walking Dead, they're saying we've made our mistakes. We're sorry. But now we're going to give you a choice. Now we're going to give you a choice. We're going to give you the information, and now you make the choice. Are you going to stay deceived and think that the antibiotics and think all the remedies and the operations are going to actually prolong your life? Or are you going to actually deal with your predispositions, deal with who you are, and start determining your own freaking worth, not having somebody else determine that? That's the whole point of J-Juice. And so, yes, it is very Luciferian. I was raised in a Luciferian home as I finally figured it out. But what you go through to be Luciferian type, it's pretty intense, and it's not for the faint of heart. Not everybody survives understanding the knowledge that's out there. That's why I guess when you disobey God and eat from the tree of knowledge, you got to go through the trials and tribulations to earn your way past 120 years. Whatever that curse was back in the Adam and Eve days. You can't just get the life ones, the one on, without going through the fire. And that is the Luciferian understanding. That's the Luciferian way. That's the NWO. They're not bad, you guys. You really have to stop characterizing Bill Gates as bad. Because I'm going to tell you, you can't be breeding people who are going to be destroyers of each other. That's the thing, is that we are breeding so many people that don't care about each other, or care about the land, or care about the world, or care about themselves. And so now, if you don't care about yourself, no one else is going to care about you, and then, yeah, you're going to succumb. Because someone else is going to speed up the evolution. You're not going to get the slow evolution to where, oh yeah, you'll get a disease here, a disease there, and you'll get your antibiotics, and then you'll be okay dying at 80. No, it's going to be sped up, and you'll still have dignity. They'll still justify and be like, oh yeah, well we'll put them on a ventilator. We'll do this, we'll do that. But I'm telling you, the New World Order actually is doing us a favor if you understand what they're doing. If you can get beyond your satanic deception of what things are, and you actually understand both sides of the story. Just like people who misunderstand J-Juice. If they get beyond their freaking satanic believing everything they read without understanding both sides, they might actually wake up a little bit and see and understand, and then be on the side of life. But if you are already on the side of death, then you will fail to understand the other side of the argument. Because your whole purview is to take on a cause that you have no idea what you're taking on, because you don't have no idea who you are. Most people out there don't even know who they are, so they take on a cause they know really nothing about, and they fail to understand the other side, and so they take a side, and then they're so evil and so mean and so vinegary and bitter that you're like, dude, I feel the death in you. I feel it. I got to get away from it. I feel the negative energy in a lot of people, and people think I'm negative. Oh, let me tell you, when I play both sides, when I go from light to dark, dark to light, I'm not always light, okay? But I'm living. But my emotions are, I'm telling you, they keep the balance. Because I can't have people mischaracterizing my jelly juice. I can't have people constantly debating with me. And so, yes, when I establish my boundaries, I'm like a freaking dog. I will go down to baser level instincts to protect what is mine and to protect what I hold true as my values. I'm not one to just lay down and let somebody walk all over me. But I have that discernment to know who actually is trying to destroy me and who is not. Some of you don't have that discernment because you haven't given yourself a chance to know that discernment. So you're just believing everything out there. I deal with these people on a one-on-one basis. I talk to them through private message. I get their emails. I get their comments. It's not just I'm looking at what somebody's saying and what somebody's doing and reacting. No, I stay off of the message boards out there, the public ones that want to slam me. I don't purposely go put myself in situations where I'm going to get attacked. If someone's coming into my world, into my house, into my Facebook, into my email, I deal with them one-on-one. But if they're not coming into my house, into my email, into my world, on my Facebook, then I have no business having an opinion about somebody else's opinion. And that is the difference between Satan and Lucifer. Satanists will just go out there and look for a fucking fight. They don't have no reserve for the fight. They'll just look for the fight. Luciferians are like, okay, come to my door. I'll fight you at my door. I'll fight you where I have the upper hand. And some of you don't even know you have the upper hand and you still lose because you lost your energy. But I don't look for fights. I don't create fights. I don't want fight. But when backed in a corner, absolutely I'll fight. And some of you just want to look for a fight. That's the satanic, deceptive way of thinking what life is where you're looking for the fight. You're looking to kick somebody's ass intellectually, physically, whatever. And that's not the J-Juice world. That's not my world. You exemplify peace, prosperity, productivity, balance, understanding both sides of the argument. You can agree or disagree, whatever. But you know that that's how they're determining how we're going to scale from 7 billion to 500 million is so many people don't know their worth and they're always looking for a fight. And it's never to their benefit. They don't have the upper hand when they're looking for the fight because they have no idea who the hell they're fighting. And we don't know who the hell you're fighting. You're walking into an ambush. And if you don't understand that, then you're probably not doing J-Juice. But I know some people on my J-Juice are looking for fights. They're always looking for fights. They're always trying to battle something they cannot win because they don't know who their enemy is. They don't really have an enemy. It's themselves. They don't know who they are. That's the thing. When you don't know who your enemy is, you don't know who you are. And so you'll never win if you don't know who you are. And when you finally know who you are, you stop fighting. Because you realize there's got to be a balance between Satan and Lucifer on the same plane. But do you have to be satanic? No. You can understand that must happen. But you don't have to be the ones to be sacrificed. You be the priority and make your priorities. You be the one to call the shots in your world. If not, then someone else can call the shots in your world. And that's the difference between someone who is satanic and somebody who is Luciferian. Who calls the shots? Very interesting. That's probably one of the biggest conundrums that I've been dealing with is how do you explain that balance between 0 and 1? You don't really pick a side. You have to understand that, yes, you could be the side of life, but you don't have to necessarily be the side of death. You understand that both sides have to happen, but you be on the side of life. Consciously actually accept that. And some people consciously say, okay, I want to be the side of death. Okay, then you can't argue with them. You can't ram J-Juice down their throat. If someone says, I want to die at 80 or 60 or whatever they think they're going to die, then you know what? Let them. Don't ram J-Juice up. Just be the example. And find those that want to live. And foster that. And still honor those that say they still want to die or believe people should die. Because that's the zeros. Remember that we have the 0 and 1 in our society. If you actually look at the matrix and you put an actual 0 and 1, you'll see a lot of zeros in your community. Maybe with 1 or 2 ones. Since J-Juice is pretty worldwide, you'll have a few ones out there. That's the seeds that you must drop. Be that one. Be the one. Got it? All right. We all can be the one. The chosen one. All right. Bye.